Would you like to understand what psychological, non-physical traits make a woman attractive? I suggest you listen to this entire video because I will explain multiple characteristics. So, first of all, I found something rather interesting. I tried to Google the term psychological traits that make a woman attractive, and I didn't find a lot. I found close to nothing, which is very interesting. Whereas if you Google the same thing but for men, you'll find a long list of characteristics. I think this is the case because I think men, for example, use YouTube more than women do. Like the most YouTube users are men, I think. And guys want to figure out how to be more attractive, so there's a demand for it, so there's also a supply for what makes a man attractive. But for women, maybe they don't care as much, or they don't look at the same places. I don't know. Very interesting conclusion though. Okay, tip number 1. By the way, this is quite an opinion piece because I didn't find much information. I decided to try to reflect on what I think is psychologically attractive. Now, this is quite unrepresentative for a 22-year-old's perspective, so don't take it as a generalizable set of characteristics. Characteristic number 1, the ability to nurture. Now, all of these traits are traits of a healthy woman who is strong genes, like as an ideal, you know, not realistically strong genes, but just like what one would look for, you know, as like an ideal. Ability to nurture, because a healthy woman would probably want to have kids, and you want to raise a healthy kid, and you do that by reducing the damage you inflict upon the child in its childhood. So the ability to nurture is to avoid that damage and to have patience for the child, for it to grow, because raising a child is bloody exhausting and takes a lot of time, and you need patience for the child to learn to grow. Hence, the ability to nurture is super important. But so you should be, if a woman is kind, sweet, warm-hearted, but also strict and disciplined, because a child needs that. That's attractive. Trait number 2 is the ability for self-care. See, how can a woman raise a healthy child if she cannot even take care of herself? How can she raise a healthy child if she herself is actually ill? That doesn't really work. So self-care is very attractive. Now, the third trait is a balance of neuroticism and stability. So, neuroticism is connected to a difficulty with self-esteem and emotional volatility, and it's important, I think, for women to be neurotic to a degree, because they need to discriminate dangers for themselves and for the child. They need to be on edge slightly, maybe, to be conservative when obsessing the dangers, because you don't want to be oblivious of the dangers, because children can get hurt and the mother can also get hurt. So it's important for them to be discriminative and critical of environments to avoid damage being done. That may sound very paranoid, but it's important, because if a woman has no clue, then that's not good. That really isn't good. But also, it's nice if you connect it with stability, because having somebody who is has depressive tendencies is also difficult, very difficult, and paranoia is also not good, especially not for children. If they're raised by paranoid parents, the child will probably learn to be paranoid itself. So these are three traits I think that are psychological and make a woman attractive. The ability to nurture, the ability for self-care, and finally a balance between neuroticism and stability. Now, it's important to notice, to state that there are so many characteristics psychological that make somebody attractive. These are just a few of sort of my personal opinion, and a lot of these things don't get broadcasted online, which is a bit of a shame. And you may think that it's why would you, Henry, as a 22-year-old, be caring about this stuff? Well, I think, if you look at the timeline of your life, the majority of your time alive will probably be in involved with having a family and kids. So if that's such an integral part of your life, you might as well sort it out and actually prepare yourself properly for it, and figure out what you want, what you don't want, and set that life up so you roll into it. Because you may focus on your career so much and then have no time for family when you actually really wanted a family, and then you're unhappy, then you're miserable. That's why it's really key, and I think it's people may see it as quite a pressure to try and figure out like a mate or a partner at the age of 22, maybe. But if you take it with some, like, if you have faith in the process, it's fine. I mean, it's not too much of a burden, I'd say. And also, one thing that needs to be said is that women actually have a stronger pressure to figure life out at an early age, because they can only really have kids up until a certain age. You know, at the age of 35, it starts getting critical then. And in order to have kids, you kind of need to have your entire life sorted out, because you need to have a husband, a partner, and that shouldn't be underestimated how difficult that is to find a good one, because you need to be as suitable as possible, and finding a guy like that's not easy. Just as much as for a guy it's not easy to find the right partner, it's no walk in the park. So you need to have that sorted out, and then the kids, you need to have the right like living situation, etc., like a financial trajectory. There's so much that goes into it, and it's also important to notice that the pressure is there for women, because also if you can't have kids when you want to have kids because you waited too late, that's soul crushing. I think it's hard for us to fully comprehend what it feels like, but if you want to have kids and you physically can't, I think your whole world crumbles, especially since it's like fundamentally or instinctively maybe a purpose of our life to reproduce, and if that can't happen, that really is that makes your world fall into an abyss, I would say, and that's not good. So I mean, all of these traits are supposed to help you sort of identify a good partner, and that's why is that again important. I want to repeat, it's because I think the root of the greatest problems in our society stem from bad parenting, because whatever occurs or happens to you as a child, it sticks with you probably for the rest of your life, whether you were treated bad, etc. You build your traumas as a child, let's say, and if that can be minimized by having a good partner who is on the same page and you can avoid damaging your child, that's in the interest of the entire society. I think the fate of the society depends on the parenting styles. So that's why it's important again. So I hope you could learn something from this video. Tell me what you think in the comments, give it a like, this video, and thank you for listening.